All right, so this is not so much a story as it is I want to paint a picture. You know, that's the point of all of this, is to paint a picture of where I come from and how I ended up like this. So Clifton Forge, Virginia, maybe 3,500 people when I was growing up. You know, like every other like southern town, there's classes, different classes. The majority's middle to lower class, and that's where we were in the lower end of that. And that we did live in Section 8 housing at times. We were on food stamps, WIC, Medicaid, all you name it. That was sort of our life then. And had a lot of friends, a lot of cousins, and a lot of other people around us that were in the same boat. And there was a place, sort of a center to all this, called Press's Wholesale. And Preston Reed was the fellow's name. He owned a distributor for Tom's, which was a company that sold potato chips and stuff like that was sort of on the outskirts of town. And he owned, I think, a small trucking business maybe, and some maintenance type situations. He owned a convenience store in the center of Clifton Forge called Press's Wholesale. And when I was real young, when it first opened, you know, very old building. You could go in the basement, super wide staircase, real steep, go deep into the basement. And down there he had pool tables and video games, which we never really had that much money, but you could go down there and smoke cigarettes with my brother and his friends, and sort of roll the pool cue ball around, that sort of thing. Occasionally somebody had some money. There was a jukebox, but it was something that we did during the day. At night, it would have been a different scene, but during the day, it was somewhere where there wasn't a lot of people. But anyway, upstairs, you come in, it's a regular convenience store, grocery store, convenience store, plus they rented VHS movies. And I don't think they ever got to DVDs. I don't think they were open long enough, but they rented VHSs. And like I said, they sold milk and bread and bologna and eggs and all that regular shit, plus sodas and candy and beer and all that stuff. And it was just right in the middle of town, and people came and went all the time. And then as I got older, eventually my cousin Shane ran the register there, which gave me the opportunity just to post up right out front and kick it. And, you know, it was on the corner of Commercial Avenue and Main Street, and there was a bank across the street with a big parking lot and a cement wall. And people would just gather. People would walk from all directions. It was kind of like a 5 points kind of thing. That was the real intersection, but there was two streets sort of busting off of those. And there was a all black like bar night spot called Miss Helen's Place that was 3 blocks up on Main Street. There was the Famous, which was 2 blocks up on Main Street, beer joint too. And it was kind of the opposite of Helen's. And but man, people just walking up and down and up and down, and a lot of hand-to-hand sales and exchanges, if you know what I mean. A lot of people drinking beer in the alley. You know, there was a couple different fellas who were sort of known to like to drink. And if you buy them a pint of Thunderbird, they'll buy you a 40 Old English kind of situation. We did quite a bit of that. But by the time my cousin Shane was there, it was, I wasn't 21 yet, so whatever. He was like 23 or 24, and I was maybe 19, 20. And we would just hold down the block, man. All the homies, everybody. You would just stand out there for hours. Just like I said, people coming and going, people doing like minor grocery shopping, people just coming to pick up beer, people hanging out front smoking cigarettes, joints, blunts, whatever. Sometimes it would be lit up and motherfuckers would be out there, you know, playing music and having a ton of fun until the cops rolled up. The cops got real sneaky once people started enjoying themselves, started rolling up on bikes and shit, acting funny. But yeah, it was just a place where you could see anybody and everybody. You might see somebody's grandma in there renting a movie. You might see your buddy from school. You might see your nemesis or your some dude you don't fuck with from school. You know, there was definitely a handful of fights. I got in a couple of fights out front of there before. Shane, my cousin, he always tried to squash that shit real quick. Shane was not about the bullshit. He was he wanted to keep peace so that the money could keep flowing. He liked his job. And Press and his wife, they were rarely there at night unless there was like a football game going on or something they were coming and going from. But yeah, man, it was just a place where any time of day, any day of the week, any season of the year, there could be 2 to 20 people just congregating on this corner, man. It was, you know, in the 80s and early 90s, or actually all the way up to the mid to late 90s. People just kicking it outside, walking back and forth. Like I said, some hand-to-hand exchanges, but it was just sort of like the center of commerce and debauchery for this little town of ours. I mean, it was a lot of fun, man. I think back on that stuff really fondly.